A Stoic man doesn't allow emotions to dictate his decisions or behaviors. He feels deeply but responds strategically. That self-mastery is rare, and because it's rare, it's incredibly attractive. Most men get pulled in all directions by their feelings. When a woman doesn't text back, they panic. When she gives mixed signals, they obsess. When things don't go as expected, they lash out, sulk, or become emotionally needy, and all of this signals one dangerous message: weakness. Women may sympathize with emotion, but they are drawn to stability. A man who loses his composure over small things shows that he cannot handle the bigger storms of life. In contrast, the Stoic man processes emotions but doesn't become a slave to them. If a woman goes cold, he doesn't panic, he reflects. If she tests him, he doesn't react. He holds his frame. When things become uncertain, he becomes more composed. That unshakable inner world is magnetic because it signals leadership. It shows that you are not governed by lust, fear, anxiety, or insecurity. You are anchored. You are unbothered. You are focused on principles, not feelings. Women subconsciously look for a man who can remain steady in the chaos. Someone whose presence calms the storm rather than adds to it. And when you're that man, her instincts tell her she can lean on you, trust you, respect you. Most importantly, she starts chasing your energy because it provides something she cannot easily find in others: emotional security. And emotional security, when paired with masculine self-control, is the rarest and most powerful aphrodisiac there is. You become the calm in her emotional sea, and that makes you unforgettable. When a man puts his purpose before pleasure, he creates a magnetic force around him that most women can't ignore. A Stoic man understands that his mission in life is not to seek comfort, validation, or romantic approval, but to build, to conquer, to lead, and to grow. Women are naturally drawn to ambition because it reflects direction, passion, and long-term potential. Most men, however, get caught in the trap of making a woman the center of their universe. They rearrange their schedules for her, abandon their goals, and constantly seek ways to impress her, thinking that more attention equals more attraction. But in doing so, they give away their power. They become predictable, easy, emotionally dependent. A woman may appreciate the attention at first, but over time that energy becomes suffocating. She senses that this man is operating from a place of neediness, not confidence. That he's chasing her approval instead of chasing his vision. That's not attractive, it's desperate. On the other hand, the Stoic man gets up in the morning with a plan. He's focused on hitting the gym, growing his business, developing his skills, meditating, learning, and staying disciplined. He doesn't constantly check his phone. He doesn't spend hours obsessing over what she said or didn't say. He's too busy crafting his empire to be emotionally invested in someone who hasn't proven they're worth the distraction. This kind of focus changes the dynamic. It makes her wonder what you're doing, why you're so composed, and what's going on in your world. It sparks her curiosity. It creates a healthy imbalance, one where she's the one seeking validation, not you. You stop asking for attention and start receiving it. And it's not because you manipulated her. It's because you made her realize that your time is valuable, your presence is earned, and your life has momentum. A man who is purpose-driven doesn't ask for permission to succeed. He doesn't wait for approval to grow. His attention is earned, not given freely. And because his energy is so focused, so disciplined, and so rare, women chase it. They want to be a part of that energy. They want to align with that direction. They want to feel that they're in the presence of a man who's going somewhere in life, because that's the kind of man who makes a woman feel safe, excited, and challenged all at once. Pleasure fades, but purpose builds legacy. And when a man lives by that truth, he stops chasing women and starts attracting them effortlessly. In a world where everyone is constantly speaking, posting, texting, and explaining themselves, silence has become a rare and powerful form of communication. The Stoic man understands this deeply. He doesn't feel the need to prove himself with endless words or justify every decision. He operates on a different frequency, one where his presence speaks louder than his voice. Women are used to men who overshare, who reveal their intentions too quickly, who lay out their plans in the hopes of earning approval. But the man who holds something back, who keeps an air of mystery, immediately sets himself apart. When you practice controlled, intentional silence, you become unpredictable, and unpredictability is powerful because it sparks curiosity. She starts to wonder what you're thinking, why you didn't reply instantly, why you seemed unbothered when she pulled back, why you didn't ask her out again right away. This psychological tension is not manipulation, it's restraint. It's the discipline of not feeding into every impulse, and this restraint creates space for desire to grow. When everything is laid bare too soon, there's nothing left to explore. But when you reveal only parts of yourself, when you allow silence to exist between interactions, she starts to fill in the blanks, and most of the time she fills them with fascination. This silence also communicates strength. It says, "I don't need to speak to be heard." When you're calm and composed, when you speak only when necessary, and when your energy is grounded, it creates a gravitational pull. She leans in. She listens more carefully. She watches your every move. The man who doesn't feel the need to constantly entertain, please, or over-communicate becomes more powerful because he's not operating from a place of fear. He's comfortable in stillness. He's at home in solitude. That level of self-containment shows her that you are not seeking external validation. You're already full internally. Moreover, mystery isn't about playing games, it's about preserving depth. Not every thought needs to be exposed. Not every emotion needs to be dissected. A Stoic man understands that his silence is not emptiness. It's elegance. It's the armor that protects his thoughts, and the invitation that draws others in. Women chase that, not because they're being tricked, but because mystery taps into something primal, the desire to explore, to discover, and to understand what's hidden. The more you leave unsaid, the more she wants to know. The less you show, the more value she places on the moments you do open up. The Stoic man doesn't just use words sparingly. He uses silence strategically, and that, in today's loud and desperate world, makes him unforgettable. A man who is willing to walk away holds a rare and powerful position in any relationship. Not because he's trying to manipulate or punish the other person, but because he understands the immense value of self-respect. A Stoic man does not beg for attention, tolerate disrespect, or stay where he is not valued. He has mastered the mindset that true power lies in detachment, not indifference, but the ability to walk away with dignity when his boundaries are crossed. This doesn't make him cold, it makes him centered. Women are instinctively drawn to men who have the strength to leave situations that no longer serve them. It's not just attractive, it's admirable. The man who cannot walk away is easy to control. He fears loss more than he values his own principles. He's the one who stays in toxic relationships, tolerates passive-aggressive behavior, and continues chasing even when he's being emotionally neglected. He operates from fear, fear of being alone, fear of losing her, fear of not finding better, and that fear is visible. It seeps into his words, his tone, his body language. It screams desperation, and nothing kills attraction faster than desperation. But when a man silently walks away from drama, entitlement, disrespect, or indifference, he flips the script. He shows that he is the prize, that his peace, his time, and his energy are not to be wasted. This act of walking away sends a clear message without speaking a word. I am enough. I do not chase love that does not value me. I am not afraid to lose you if keeping you means losing myself. That kind of clarity is rare. It's a shock to the system, especially for women who are used to being chased, begged, or tolerated no matter how they behave. And it's in that moment, when you're no longer available, when you're no longer trying, that she often wakes up. She begins to realize your absence is louder than your presence ever was. That silence you leave behind, it lingers. It forces her to reflect, to reconsider, and in many cases, it's that very silence that makes her start chasing. Because now, you're no longer another man trying to please her. You're the man she can't figure out, the one who had the courage to choose himself over temporary validation. Walking away doesn't mean you don't care. It means you care more about your standards. It means you refuse to lower your worth just to keep someone who doesn't appreciate it. And ironically, it is that exact attitude, the ability to let go without bitterness, that often brings people back. But here's the secret. The Stoic man doesn't walk away to get a reaction. He walks away because he knows he'll be just fine either way. That emotional independence, that fearless detachment, is what sets him apart. It's what makes him a mystery, and it's what makes him a man who is not just respected, but chaste. The Stoic man is unshakably independent. His sense of identity is not tethered to the approval, affection, or attention of anyone, not even the woman he desires. This kind of man doesn't walk through life with his hands out, hoping someone will complete him. He has already built himself emotionally, mentally, financially, spiritually, and because of this, he becomes a fortress self, sufficient, grounded, and deeply magnetic. Women feel this level of independence before he even says a word. It radiates from how he carries himself, how he speaks, how he makes decisions, and how he remains calm when others panic. The average man often seeks a woman to fulfill his emotional voids. He wants her to reassure him, validate him, give him identity, and make him feel like he matters. But this approach leads to imbalance. He becomes overly invested too soon, overly available too often, and overly reactive too easily. That dependency repels attraction. It tells her, I am not whole without you. And that pressure is not only unattractive, it's unfair. No woman wants to be the emotional oxygen tank for a man who can't breathe on his own. At first, she may enjoy the attention, but soon it becomes suffocating, even exhausting. Now contrast that with the Stoic man. He doesn't need to be rescued. He doesn't beg for time. He doesn't place his happiness in someone else's hands. If he's single, he's at peace. If he's in a relationship, he maintains his autonomy. He doesn't abandon his hobbies, his friends, his routine, or his vision just to keep someone close. His world continues spinning, with or without a partner, because he has purpose, structure, and emotional sovereignty. That kind of man becomes rare in the eyes of women because he doesn't chase like the others. He doesn't rely on external praise. He's already full internally. This independence creates a powerful shift in energy. She begins to wonder, why doesn't he need me like others do? What is it about him that makes him so self-contained? Why does his energy feel so stable, so safe, so unshakable? And in that wonder, the chase begins. She wants to understand him, be around him, prove her worth to him. Because deep down, women want to be with a man who doesn't crumble under pressure, who doesn't lose himself in love, and who doesn't rely on others to carry his emotional weight. A Stoic man's independence is not coldness, it's confidence. It's a deep inner knowing that says, I want you, but I don't need you. I can walk alone if I must. And that statement doesn't push women away, it pulls them in. Because every woman wants to feel like she's chosen, not needed out of desperation. When you don't depend on her presence to feel strong, she starts to feel something even more powerful, admiration. You become the emotional rock she can lean on. And you didn't have to ask for it. You became it by mastering yourself. The Stoic man understands that his attention is one of his most valuable currencies. In a world where men are constantly giving away their focus for free, liking every photo, replying instantly, chasing after validation, the man who chooses to be selective with where and how he invests his attention immediately stands out. He does not give energy to women who haven't earned it. He doesn't reward shallow gestures with deep interest. He doesn't get emotionally attached to someone simply because she's beautiful or flirty. Instead, he watches. He observes her actions, her consistency, her values, and her energy before deciding if she's worthy of his time. And when he does give her attention, it means something. It's deliberate. It's rare, and that rarity makes it powerful. Most men fail to realize that constant availability kills mystery. It removes challenge. It signals, often unconsciously, that the man has nothing more important to do than focus on her. This dynamic makes him easy to predict, easy to read, and easy to control. And while that might feel romantic in movies, in reality it destroys polarity. Women don't chase men who orbit around them. They chase the ones who seem to have an orbit of their own. The ones whose attention feels earned, not given by default. That's what makes her invest. That's what makes her wonder, what does it take to keep his interest? And that question sparks pursuit. Selective attention isn't about playing hard to get. It's about maintaining standards. It's about saying to the world, my time and focus are reserved for people, places, and situations that align with my values. This mindset filters out superficial connections and forces others to level up if they want to be part of your life. When a woman senses that you're not easily impressed, that you don't fold just because of a pretty face or a compliment, she starts to value your attention more. It becomes something to work for, something to keep, something she doesn't want to lose. This also rebalances the power dynamic. When you reward her with focused attention, not out of desperation, but because she's demonstrated real value, you reinforce your standards. You show her that you're not like every other man who throws himself at the first sign of interest. You're a man with emotional discipline, a man who invests where there is substance, not just surface. And this naturally shifts her behavior. She becomes more intentional, more respectful, more intrigued, because deep down she knows she's not just being noticed, she's being evaluated. This is the essence of Stoic masculinity: measured action, thoughtful presence, and controlled energy. You don't just look at her, you assess her. You don't just talk to her, you listen with awareness. And when you finally decide to give your attention fully, it doesn't come off as needy. It comes off as earned, as meaningful, as a gift. That level of control and discernment is not only attractive, it's unforgettable. Women are used to being pursued without effort. But when they meet a man who makes them rise to a higher standard just to earn a space in his mind, heart, and life, they don't just notice, they chase. So understand this: women don't chase men who are desperate, predictable, or emotionally reactive. They chase the man who holds his frame, the man who leads with purpose, who doesn't need her to feel whole, who maintains mystery, and who can walk away without flinching. They chase the man who values himself so deeply that his attention becomes a rare reward, not a common handout. A Stoic man doesn't beg, doesn't plead, doesn't perform. He simply exists in his truth, and because of that, the right woman will chase him, not because she has to, but because she wants to.